to the Just Talk to Me Bro podcast.
Who does this guy even think he is? What are you, chewing rocks? Just talk to me, bro.
Starring your host, Dante Dario.
And welcome back to episode 5 of the Just Talk to Me Bro podcast. I got my boy again, Jay with a J-E-Y. What's up, man?
And that's weird.
Nah, it's not weird. This time, buddy? I accepted it. You know, I can't believe we're here. It's 5 episodes in. It's like, when did that happen?
Time flies.
It does. It does.
I always say it goes forward. I mean, it goes fast. Sometimes it goes slow sometimes, but it just always keeps ticking forward.
Right. Well, that's time, right?
Yeah, it's just time.
It takes forward, dude.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you guys, I know if you're listening through Spotify or any of like the audio pods, like the Apple and the Google, you can follow along. Click the follow button. If you're on YouTube, please go ahead, like and subscribe, of course, because it's going to make the content expand. You're going to see more of this guy's face, more of my face. Hopefully the topics will come better. But yeah, please do that. It'll help out. So thank you for getting us to, I think we're at like 138 subscribers now at this point.
That's pretty good. We got to deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, my weekend was good. My week. My week was good, but it started weird because like my car had to go in for service. And I don't know if you've ever been to a car dealership where they keep making you go back for the same thing over and over. And you're like, there's a problem. And they're like, no, it's good.
But every time you bring it in, it's like you bring it, it's doing like a weird clicky thing, and then you bring it in and you show it to them and it just doesn't do it.
It's always
magically.
We couldn't reproduce the problem. I hear the car.
Remember that commercial? And there was like a guy, and he could do he just did all the impressions of what the car was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that? Every time you go to a car dealer, you have to be a guy that does voice sound effects? You're like, what was the sound like? It was a oh, and what else? So you have to make the sounds.
You do.
So what I started doing is recording.
That's why they send men in there mostly, because I think we can do impressions better than women.
Right. Now imagine, and not to be sexist, but like you send a woman, and then she's like, it sounds like, you know, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
And I understand that the mechanic's going to get this and he's going to be like, what does that even mean? So I started recording videos. And I think that when you buy a car, you should immediately just turn the car on at the dealership and start recording what it sounds like. Because then you could say, this is what it sounded like at the beginning, and now this is the problem that I have, which I wish I did, but I didn't.
That's really smart. It's like when you rent a vehicle and you take pictures of it all the way around.
Right, an inspection. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
smart.
I had videos, and it was really, really embarrassing to be in a parking lot somewhere and pull out a video of my, like literally I'm just standing there. If somebody else is watching this from like across the street or something, they just see me pointing my phone into like the car's emblem at the front of the hood. So
what ended up being wrong with that?
So I take it in the first time. Oh, we couldn't reproduce it. I'm like, I just gave you a video, dude, and you can't hear that. No, we couldn't hear it. Like, did you even? I have a feeling, dude. They take the car and they put it in the parking lot, and they're like, yeah, come back. And then they don't give you a loaner anymore, so you don't get like a car to take home. And then I take it back the second time. And the guy that was my master mechanic, he's now the service manager. He's the shit. A Spanish dude, Juan. Sorry to put his name out there.
Do you speak Spanish to him?
Yeah, oh yeah. And so I'm like, listen.
That's how you get good service.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, please.
I saw like Fifth Estate, and they, as soon as you leave your car, they just like say smoking darts in it and like drive it to McDonald's.
Oh, right. You know what? I saw that with like a Mercedes, I think it was.
They're like joyriding it, like peeling around corners and stuff.
They took some dude's Mercedes to like Tim Hortons and like picked up fucking food and shit. I was like, dude. And they caught him. They caught them, and they had the gall to say we didn't do that. You could see them right in their dash cam. Yeah. The guy got it recorded on his dash cam. You got to be careful. You don't trust anybody, especially with your vehicle. Don't be dumb. If you see a camera, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. These guys obviously didn't care.
No, they clearly didn't.
So did you get your car fixed?
Okay. So I go the second time and the guy's like, okay, I'm going to take care of it. I got your videos. And then he gets, I guess, the car, and I'm like, I have no car now. I gotta rent one. So I rent one, get this shitty Honda Civic, and then I get a call. Oh yeah, it was a damper pulley. I'm like, I knew it. It was something up. And your wireless charging your car was gonna catch fire because it was short circuiting, and I could smell burnt in the car. I'm like, what?
Or the joke's on you. They're like, listen, this guy won't shut up. We've looked over the car. There's nothing wrong with it, and they're like, just tell him the damper pulley. Just tell him
I don't know.
tell him the clicker. It was low on clicker juice.
No. I know my cars, especially Hyundais and stuff. Okay. But you know what? I had that issue, and I'm glad they found it, because now I'm going to hear the car, right? It's not like I'm going to get it back and be like, you fixed nothing. Like, I'll hear it if it's there or not.
Fair
what
enough.
surprised me was that they said my car is a fire risk because of the short circuited. Because I basically, in a passing thing, I was like, doesn't charge my phone anymore wirelessly. First world problems, whatever. And then they're like, oh.
I guess cars do catch on fire. I mean,
Hyundais do.
I've literally started. I mean, the electrical system in a car is 12 volt, right?
Right.
12 volt DC. And it's harder than you think to start a fire with 12 volt DC. One time I was four-wheeling and we didn't have anything to start a fire. But so I took gas. I like soaked a rag in gas from the gas tank. And then I had booster cables. So I put booster cables on the batteries, and then I put the gas there. And I literally was like sparking the two booster cables together on the gas rag.
Right.
And I eventually started, but it was like I had to put gasoline.
Yeah, you had to
there.
make it happen.
Yeah. So, but you do drive by on the highway the odd time and see a burned out car.
You hear
but I'm
about
like,
it
how
a
does
lot.
that? Yeah. But like,
because cables get hot.
Fair
and
enough.
They burn.
It happens, but it has to be the perfect storm to actually happen.
Yeah. There's a lot of
happen.
fireproof material in cars too, which is like a firewall.
Right.
And so it's like,
because it would probably start from the motor.
Right. And inward. So the firewall is there to prevent it going inward, but it still catches fire because there's wires and stuff that get really hot, like a speaker wire, for example. Something stupid.
You know what's terrifying is a fire on a plane.
Oh.
You ever smell smoke on a plane?
Nope. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
You were on the plane?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Oh.
And I was like, I was sitting there. It was I think Costa Rica, and it was the only flight I've ever been on that they never turned the seatbelt sign off the entire flight because it was so turbulent.
Oh no.
It was like bumping. And we were sitting towards the back. I think I was in the very back seat, and we were bumping, and it was cool because she was like the flight attendant sitting there, but she was passing me beer.
Right.
And nobody else up front got beer, but since I was right here. And after like a couple hours in the flight, I'm like that smells like burnt. And I'm like, oh, okay, they probably just have they probably are cooking toast or whatever back there. You have their kitchen.
Yeah, they're making breakfast in the back. Yeah.
But I'm a really nervous flyer, so I'm like, Dana,
you're just nervous in general, dude.
Yeah, I'm really jittery all the time. I'm like, Dana, I smell smoke. And she's like, shut up. You watch an air crash investigation. Like, you always think the plane's going to crash. I'm like, no, I smell smoke 100%. But I was just trying to stay calm. I'm like, okay, stay calm. And then I waited a while, and that kind of went away.
Right.
And then I saw one of the flight attendants from up front. She kind of got up, and nobody was really looking at her. And she went in, she opened up the bathroom, and I saw her stick her nose in there, and
someone's smoking, maybe.
I saw her smelling. No, but
that's what they're checking, if someone's smoking.
She was just kind of trying to see where she was like smelling up and down, like smelling down, smelling up, and
trained to do that.
And then I said to her, because I'm always looking at to see if they're nervous, right? Because if they're nervous, there's a problem. So I'm like, you smell something? She's like, yeah. Do you? I'm like, yeah, I do. But I thought you guys were cooking back there. And she's like, no, it's the seatbelt sign's been on the whole flight. We haven't fired up anything. And
I shit my pants at that moment.
I said, yeah, you might want to call the captain and let him know that there's, because it smelled like burning wires, like electrical.
Like plastic.
And she literally called up and just said, and I think he just said like, stand by. And she actually told me, she said, can you just keep like,
just chill out.
Keep your no, she said, keep your nose out.
Okay.
Let me know if you smell it anymore.
Because they don't want you scaring people too, right? I would assume.
Probably not. I don't know. I've heard of flights like that. And I mean, fire in the air is super dangerous, right? You got to get...
Because there's more oxygen up there. You just light on fire, dude. You're a match.
It's like in a boat, they say, is really dangerous for a fire.
What?
Yeah,
What's the boat have to do with it? You're in water.
You're in water, but like it's all flammable stuff, and like if your boat sinks, you're like in the middle of the ocean or whatever.
I think that's the least of your worries if your boat's on fire. It's either I'm gonna burn alive or I'm gonna go down
or get eaten by a shark right? So apparently it's really dangerous to have a fire in a boat.
It's just not a good idea all around.
Weren't you guys talking on episode 1 about a Zeppelin?
Oh, that's episode 2. Yeah, I still forgot the name of it.
Hindenburg.
The Hindenburg. Yeah. That's a terrible idea.
And they filled it with hydrogen.
Yeah.
And just like exploded. But that was apparently like the ultimate luxury, just like sailing over.
Right. The Germans wanted to have like a new way of transportation.
Now that would be luxury. I know it wouldn't be fast, but imagine how cool that would be.
It was luxury. They had like cabins inside and like the bathrooms, and it was all like they had VIP, like first class and all that.
And something about like first class in the early 1900 or 1800 doesn't it seem like better than first class now?
Yeah, I think first class now is BS.
First class now is like they just put like a cherry on something and it's I don't know.
Like I had first class on a couple of flights, and one flight actually, because I wanted to be like, I want to feel this. You know, it wasn't long ago actually.
I've never been. I've been saving up my points. I want to.
And it depends on the plane. So keep that in mind. If you're going to go first class and you want to treat yourself and you're like, oh, it's only $200 more. It depends on the plane. If you have a small plane, your seat's just going to be a little bit wider.
Right.
And they're going to bring you booze. But if you have
what was your plane?
It was a shit plane. So I was really disappointed. I was like,
it's like, here's first class. You just get to sit in the front of the plane.
This is all the difference that I
It's the same seat, but it's just in the front.
This is the difference. Watch. Yeah. That was it. Me extending my foot
I've seen some of those pods when we flew to Asia and stuff. Obviously, you walk through the front of the plane, you see those pods. Man, they're sweet.
Depends on the plane.
You lay flat, completely flat. You have like complete blinders on either side.
Yep.
Little mini bar.
I saw that coming back from Colombia when I brought my wife, and we were on like an Air Canada jumbo, kind of like I'm used to like the left seat's middle, or the left seat and the right seat, no middles.
Right.
But this thing had the middle.
Those are the ones. It's good.
And they have an upstairs. So that's the first
Oh,
class.
I've never been on that.
Yeah.
Upstairs.
There's like an upstairs.
Wow.
So it's like a plane, the cylinder, and it's half through. You can.
It's crazy that we just fly in a tube.
You're in a tube, dude.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
It's so hard for me I actually started taking I'm like halfway certified to be a pilot because I was so terrified of.
Dude, you're the worst person to be a pilot because you're nervous and you're going to be in the sky and you're going to be like,
but my problem
what's that smell?
I need every time I go up, I'm always freaking out. Like the last time I went flying, it was in the summertime and they had the heat blasting. Like the heat was, they're always old planes. Right. Like they're Pipers or Cessnas or whatever. And it was like blowing hot heat, but it was so hot because it was like 30 degrees outside. I literally thought there was I kept saying to the guy, I'm like, man, my feet are really hot. Are your feet hot?
You're trying to tell him, is there a fire?
Yeah.
Is there a fire?
But you don't want to just flat out say that because you want to like play it cool. And then the other time I went up, I brought my camera. This was when I just went on like the Discover flight. This was a couple of years ago, like long time ago, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had it was a really small plane. Like we were pretty much, my shoulder was touching, I'm a small guy and my shoulder is touching here. This shoulder's touching his shoulder and his shoulder is touching his door.
That's brutal, dude.
And we're like, Meow. And then he's like, okay, we're up. He's like, you can take a picture now if you want. And I have my camera behind me.
Is he the...
Excuse
me.
Yeah,
sorry.
So when I turn like this, I like put pressure on the door, and the door like popped open.
Shit!
Like it literally popped open. Like it went, poof, and I was like, oh, and my heart dropped, and I'm like, oh my, I'm like, you have headphones out there. I'm like,
yeah.
My door just opened. He's like, calm down. I'm gonna slow the plane down. He literally slowed the plane down, and then he's like, open the door, push it out, and then just like you would do in a car.
Yeah.
He's just like, open it up and slam it shut. So I had to do that
because there's a lot of pressure. I don't know if you get sucked out though. It's a small plane.
No, well, there's pressure in a commercial plane because they're pressurizing the cabin.
Because you got to breathe, you need oxygen.
Right, but in the planes that I'm flying in, you're below 10,000 feet,
lower altitude.
It's just basically windy. You're going like 150 miles an hour, and it's just like opening up your car and you're breathing the air.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So that makes
once you get up to a certain altitude, I haven't studied in a while, but it's like over 10 or 12,000 feet. then you have to start having oxygen on board, and you'll start having oxygen deprivation symptoms.
Did you know this before that you opened the door, or did you find that out after?
When that happened, I knew nothing.
Oh, okay.
And actually, the reason I'm taking the training is because I'm so terrified of flying.
Is that really it?
Yeah.
You're
I wanted
scared of flying?
Yeah, I'm terrified of flying.
I think flying is like the easiest like ever. Like it's like a bus.
But it's the lack of control. If I was in the cockpit with the pilots and they were like, "Oh yeah, everything's chill,"
you tell them.
But every time they turn, I'm like, "Oh, is this supposed to happen?" I'm like,
You're an anxious guy. Like, I have
big
anxiety issues big time. Like I've told you before, but the audience probably doesn't know. I have a lot of anxiety issues, but yours are just like.
Are they worse than yours?
Mine is more like I'm gonna die of a heart attack or a stroke, or I'll feel like
I have that too.
A tingle in my finger, and I'm like, oh, it's time. You know?
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Or like when you told me the last time you were here, you were like, you had a friend that just was like, oh, it's gonna happen, and then they died. Like that freaks me out.
Did we say that on the podcast?
No.
Yeah. Apparently, somebody died of an aneurysm because I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but if you've ever just misheard somebody or you hear mumbo jumbo, and then in your head, real quick, just for a split second, you go like, is my brain just scrambled? Like, did I just die or something?
All the time.
So
twice today.
So what I read was there was a girl that thought that all the time, but then the one time, excuse me, she just looked at her, I think it was her daughter. She just looked at her in the eye and said, "Oh my God, it's happening." And then she just like fell over and died right there.
That is my nightmare.
So apparently when you're having that.
That's my nightmare. Today I did it twice where I made up words to my wife. I usually mix up English and Spanish and make up a word that doesn't exist. And she's like, "You did that twice today." I'm like, "Stop. You're freaking me out." Am I having a stroke? And she's like, "Calm down. I shouldn't have said anything." Because I get anxiety like that. Or like,
I do too, yeah.
What it scares me is the not knowing. That's what scares me.
Is anxiety, what is it? Is it some sort of like something left over from when we evolved?
When you're kids. No, I think it's...
No, I mean like evolutionarily, like obviously...
Oh, it's a defense mechanism.
Because it's like a fight or flight type thing,
If
right?
you didn't have anxiety, there's people that can't get scared of things. The brain is messed up in a way. I don't know. They are the ones that are daredevils and can do crazy shit and jump off planes and just laugh at life, right? Then there's us that's like, you fart too loud and you're like, hemorrhoid.
But don't you think that whatever that thing that we have is
it's
maybe
a mechanism.
Part of the reason that we're here, because our ancestors had that, so they were, treading lightly through life.
And they also say, the more anxiety you have, the smarter you are, because dumb people, the ones that chew rocks, those are the ones that are generally happy.
That it makes sense. I want to believe it, especially because I have a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go the opposite. So I have a lot of. I must be super smart then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're a smart guy, and you're aware of your surroundings. That's not to toot my own horn, but I got the same thing. And just like Omar, he's got anxiety, but he doesn't show it.
Right.
That's different too.
I always open with it. Once I figured out what was going on with me, for myself, it was beneficial for me to be open about it. And I remember actually asking my buddies when I was about 20, when I started figuring out what was going on with me, and I said, "Do you guys ever feel like this?" And I tried to explain to them what the feeling was, and they were like, "No, never."
I hate that.
And then my good buddy Matt, he actually went. He had some issues when he was younger. He was drinking and stuff, and when he finally sobered up, he came to me, and it was like part of his recovery and his therapy and stuff, and he said, "I just want to talk to you about that." And I didn't remember it. He reminded me. He's like, "Do you remember when you and me and Josh were hanging out and you asked if I ever felt like this and I ever felt like that?" And I said, "No." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I had guilt about that for a long time because I felt exactly like that, but I wasn't strong enough to say it out loud." And he's like, "I actually really admired that you could say that." So for me, it was like...
People don't say it.
They don't. And when you don't talk about anxiety, it actually gives it more fuel. Mm-hmm. It's like fuel, right?
Yep.
So for me anyway, when I talk about it, just putting it out there in the open, it's like, I have anxiety. It helps. It helps. And our dad's generation and stuff, like my dad will never, I've deduced over time that he has anxiety, but he will never he will never articulate that. He'll never say, "I have anxiety." He just kind of says a bunch of stuff that I've put the puzzle pieces together over time. But when you're in that generation, like our grandfathers or our parents, and it's like, you don't even talk. You don't have get to work.
Right.
You don't have anxiety.
Right.
What's anxiety?
All their generation was
Work.
do, like do it.
Right.
And ours is like, just think about it.
Does doing stuff, keeping busy, does it help?
Yeah.
Me too.
100%.
That's why COVID was really bad. My anxiety was spiking.
You know what? I wasn't that scared of COVID until I got COVID. So when I was 9 days in, I got my positive result.
Right.
If I would have known on the first day, I don't think I would have made it. I think I would have gotten sick and killed myself. So like not me doing it, but like I think the COVID would have really manifested.
Sick. You got really sick.
Yeah. But when I found out on the 9th day, I shed a couple tears. I'm like, crap, I have COVID. And then I was like, okay, I got through the most of it. I would have died by now. And that's what calmed me down.
Although now they say like 14 days in is like the make or break day or something like that.
Before it was 10 days, 9 days.
Or whatever it is. Whatever it is.
It's like, oh, fuck, I made it. So I was scared.
It's actually crazy that when I got diagnosed with anxiety, I went in to the doctor. First of all, I thought I was dying every day for about like 3 years.
For what?
Well, because I didn't know what a panic attack was. So I was having panic attacks every day. And if you don't know what a panic attack is
you
and
think
you
it's
have
like a heart attack or something.
Yeah, you think you're dying, right? So I was convinced I was dying and I was really keeping everything in. I was like, man, I have some sort of sick. And it was always something to do with, even since I was a kid, I remember now, it was always something to do with my throat, swallowing, you know, like breathing and stuff. Like I always felt like maybe my throat was going to close or something. And then when I went to the doctor and I just said, I eventually went there and I said, listen, I don't know what I have, but I know it's terminal. I know I'm going to die. So it's something to do with my like throat, breathing, whatever. No, he took me really serious. He's a good doctor. And he gave me x-rays. He gave me all blood workup and everything. And then there was 2-week waiting period for me to get my results. And then when he brought me in, I was fully prepared for like a terminal diagnosis. And he was like, okay, we reviewed all your stuff and it looks like you have, he said, there's nothing wrong with you. He did. He said, there's nothing wrong with me. I was like, oh. Then he started talking about anxiety and I'm like, anxiety? No, like I feel like I'm going to die. He's like, no, that's what anxiety is. Then he started asking me, hey, do you ever feel like this? Do you ever feel like that? And he started describing some things that were exactly the way I felt. But then he also described some stuff that I was like, what? He was like, do you ever, are you scared of like weird things like plants? I'm like, no. He's like
phobias.
He's like, do you have like fears of like going up and down the stairs? I'm like, no. He's like, do you have a feeling of impending doom? I was like, I don't even know what that was at the time.
Yeah.
Right. I have a buddy who grew up in Bosnia and he has a feeling of impending doom. Like, cause he has this like vision in his head of like looking over Lake Ontario and there being like bomber planes flying over.
Oh no, I don't get that. No.
But anyway, I have a specific kind of where I was going to bring that is
everyone's different.
Right. But mine had to do with breathing and whatever.
Right.
And then COVID. So it was like my trick. It would be like if you had the anxiety of bomber planes flying over and then like Canada goes to war.
Right.
And then you like see bomber planes flying over. So it was like COVID was like the realization of my anxiety.
Dude.
So I made sure I had rapid tests. I tested myself. I had like one of those beep thermometers. Like my wife would like just videotape me sitting there being like beep, beep, beep. And
what are you beeping? Like to do
like the temperature check? Because like 1 out of like 5, it would all of a sudden go red. It would say like I was a 101.
Yeah.
Then I'd be convinced I had a fever. Like, man, there's something like wrong with me, dude.
No. That's, you know what? I had the same thing with checking my blood pressure. And I'll check it like 10 times until I get a good number and then I'll chill out.
Well, they actually say that the act of checking your blood pressure, a lot of people, it brings their blood pressure up. So they say third or fourth reading.
What I have to do is sit down and chill out.
Breathe, yeah.
Breathe and just sit. Because if you just sit down and do a blood pressure check, bad idea.
Yeah.
20 points higher. The minute you chill out, I get like 120/80. Like I don't know how I've abused my body so much. I don't know how I'm not dead.
Oh, you're a young guy.
But still, like I'm 33.
Don't forget my business, man. I see people who abuse the human body
is resilient as shit.
Yeah,
I know.
It's crazy.
I know.
You're lucky. You did the right thing, man. You party when you were young. You're healthy
and now I can't. It's like I want to drink and I can't. The last episode 4, was it? Episode 3.
Yeah. 3, yeah.
Drank Didn't sleep till 6 a.m. because of 3 beers. Why?
It messes with your sleep. It's not good. It's poison.
I know it's poison,
Straight
but it's
poison.
like, your body's just like, done. You're done. It's over, dude. You're done.
But if you get into the consistency of drinking, then it's all right.
I think, yeah,
People
what
can do
you're
it every
saying,
day.
you level it out. I think it's because my tolerance, I'm playing with it too much. Because before it was every weekend, and now it's like never. So my body, when it does have it, it's like overload, like too much, chill out, and then I don't sleep. And it's just tossing and turning and anxiety and like my legs ache. Am I dying? Is this a stroke?
Do you get leg cramps?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah, foot or leg or?
Usually the foot itself.
Yeah.
But that's the way I sit. Like even right now, this is how I'm sitting. But
Right.
if I'm on like a chair, for example, like I'll tuck my foot under. I'll forget that, and then I'll be like, "Oh, why is this? What does this mean?"
Yeah, man, we're so similar.
Yeah.
Like I'll cramp up, I'll do something, and then I'll just be paranoid of why is my hand aching, and I'll have to think back like, oh, okay, I was hammering something.
You ever forget what you did?
Oh yeah,
that caused that. My wife has to remind me sometimes.
like I have 2 blood blisters on my hand today. I don't remember how I got them, and before we started filming, I'm like, I know how to curb my anxiety now, because before that could be a trigger where it would just go off on this snowball thought, and it's like, as I've gotten older, I've understood how to, okay, this is the start. Okay, there's nothing. It's a blood blister. You pinch your hand.
It was so dumb. It's like,
who cares?
My arm feels like it's really weak and I can't hold things anymore. And then my wife's like, you held Victoria for 2 kilometers.
Isn't that weird?
Did you forget? And I'm like, yeah, wait, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And the minute she says that, it's gone.
You're fine.
It doesn't
There's
hurt
something
no more.
called a nocebo effect.
Nocebo, what is it, like phantom pains?
Yeah, it's like the opposite of placebo effect. Like if you're convinced that something's gonna be,
make it happen.
Right, you can manifest it in your head. So like the placebo is like you're given saline solution,
right,
and you think it's real medicine, and it makes you better.
Feel better, yeah.
Right.
But then the opposite of it like you don't need nothing, right?
Right. Well, no, the opposite of it is
Just
you
words?
could be convinced that, like, okay, in a double blind trial for like vaccines, for example. Well, in the double blind, they have a sample group of X amount of people,
right,
and like half of them they give the vaccine
like
to,
studies,
and then half of them they give saline solution to. Right. So the person who's in the study who got the saline solution, they don't even know. Even the doctor who administered it to them doesn't know.
Yeah, I've been,
because it's a double blind, right? So all of a sudden this person they just start having heart palpitations, and they go, oh my God. And then they rush themselves to emerge, and they go, listen, there's something wrong with my heart. I'm in this vaccination trial, and I had this like new vaccine, and like, I know I'm dying. Like this vaccine is like, and then they like reveal the double blind. They're like, okay, dude, you didn't even have a vaccine. You had saline. So it's the nocebo effect. Right. He got sick from something he thought he had, but he didn't have it. Right. Just like you can get better from something you thought you had when you didn't have it.
Just like today with the acid reflux I had, then it turned into a stomach ache, and then I took Gaviscon, which is like this to kill the acidity.
Right.
And I got a headache. And it's all in my head, dude. All because I took, instead of 2 teaspoons, 2 spoonfuls. This sounds ridiculous to our viewers, by the way, that don't have anxiety. Like, what are these guys on about? But that's how it works.
I think it's important to understand how other people feel, even if you don't feel that way yourself. Like, right. I really like to get into other people's head and see how they feel. Yeah. And I have met people, very few, that don't have any anxiety at all.
I envy those.
The mind is so powerful. I want to mention one other thing I just heard randomly yesterday. I was fascinated by it. It was a girl with talking about stretching. I have a lot of back pain.
Yeah.
So I watched like different yoga type videos, and somebody maybe can educate us more on this, but I haven't done any research just other than hearing this one lady saying this, but she was saying that a lot of the pain that we have in our bodies is mostly in our minds. And she was saying, if you go under anesthesia, they put you under, they actually have to be super careful with your body that they don't dislocate your joints, because you're so loose that you could put your legs behind your head.
And that's, like, you can't do that normally because your pain receptors would be like, hey, chill out.
I guess
too far.
I guess so. But she was saying, like, basically when you're stretching and stuff, that's why like it's really important to like sit in a stretch position and not only be like physically stretching, but like mentally stretching.
Right.
If that makes sense. So a lot of the pain and the tension you're holding in your body is a lot. There's this guy, Dr. John Sarno. He wrote a book. I listened to Howard Stern back in the day, and he really pushed this guy because a bunch of people who have had chronic back pain.
Yeah.
They say like 1 out of 10 people that actually have chronic back pain actually need to go and get surgery. A lot of it, it's in your head.
Yeah.
Which you tell that to somebody with a sore back, and they're like, "Yeah, you jump in this body, and you tell me if it's in my head."
You know what though?
But apparently,
I've said that so many times. Where I was like, "This pain is real though," and it's not. And I'll give you a good one.
But it can manifest to real, right?
I'll give you a good one. I had scalp tingling, right, for the longest time, and it feels like my head's numb. So I went to the doctor. He did all the tests, and he goes, "It's anxiety." That's it? Yeah, it's anxiety. Then I go back, and I'm like, yo, it's happening, and it's really intense. And it got so bad that my last car, going into the garage, I busted my mirror because I was having one of those feelings. And at the same time, I was putting the car in the garage, and I busted my mirror right off.
And people are going to think we're crazy.
So, yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying. The viewers don't understand that, but it's good to have that. Like you're saying,
maybe some people can relate.
Right? Yeah,
I can totally relate. Like I'm not even looking at you any differently at all. Like I have these weird things that just come over me, and I often do think about just my ancestors, because I always feel like, are we unique, or are we like,
or just traits from the previous ancestors?
Right. Like, are we just a reincarnation of like our great? And then I think about like that guy who was my ancestor, but like he would have had no knowledge about what was going on with him. Right. So he just like, at least we know, hey, we have a word for it. This is anxiety. It's in our head.
Mine stems from my mom and my mom's mom. And like, it comes, my sister has it. And
my grandfather was a hypochondriac big time. He was he introduced himself. He's like, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm going to die. Like even as a grandkid, he was like, hey, I'm your grandpa. I'm going to die soon.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's freaked me out, man.
That's freaked me out. That's too much.
I forget how many surgeries he had in his life, but he it was like 30 or 40 or something. He like went to the doctor because he could breathe. When he breathed, he's like, hey doc, when I breathe, I get more air through this nostril. So he literally went for nose surgery to like even it out.
There's a thing about that. I forget what it's called. Buddy told me about it the other day, that vaping causes it. And I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, where the thing in between it?
Yeah, and they need surgery to open it up, because he was like, look, I can breathe more out of this one than I can out of this one.
Would you get surgery if you had that?
No, but when he said it, I was like, wait, what? Stop right there.
Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that shit that you do is...
You know what? Vaping does a lot more than just whatever that... I can breathe fine. Vaping gives me...
what about popcorn lung?
No, I don't get that. It gives me acid reflux, dude. It's weird.
Have you thought about quitting? You should quit.
I don't want to, though. Because I have stopped everything, and I'm just like a potato chip right now that's plain.
Fair.
I used to be a zesty ketchup, and now I'm just plain, dude. That's all I have is vaping. I can't drink.
There's got to be some sort of outlet. Gambling, maybe?
No. You know what? I can stop myself from the casino and all, because my mom has that problem where she doesn't have a casino problem, but she's like, can I have $20 more when she runs out? And I'm like, Mom, stop. No, I'll give it back to you later. And it's always like, chill out. You know?
Do you go to the casino with your mom?
Yeah. I like to take her every now and then.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I like, dabbling in that. But I realize it's like just stealing your money.
Usually I'm pretty good. I love gambling, but I'm like very... Like, I'm never going to lose my house because I just have like a budget.
Right.
And then when I lose it all, then I just go across the street to the strip club.
Yep.
And then I spend that amount of money again. But at least you get something for your money across the street.
It happened to me with roulette, digital roulette.
Yeah.
Not the person there, in Colombia. And
I feel like Colombia would be really corrupt. I wouldn't trust the casinos there.
So we were winning hard. Like, I kept betting on the opposite color. So it was red, I would do black. Right? And I kept doing that off patterns, and then eventually the machine was giving me like 7 reds in a row, and I'm like, this is rigged. Rigged as hell. And then I would stop, right? But I literally lost everything.
So you didn't leave it with any up at all?
No. I lost. So I was like, crap, whatever. And I gotta expect this, Colombia, dude. What else can you do? Really, there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, I was talking about all inclusives today with my sister-in-law, and she was saying, oh, like this resort, whatever, in Jamaica has a casino. I won't go to a casino in the Caribbean, period. I know Colombia's not in the Caribbean, but they're always like
designed
sketched.
in Colombia, like, okay, for example, America or Canada, it's all governed by somebody, the casinos.
Yep.
In Colombia and places like the Caribbean, it's all governed by a person like you. You can have a casino and you set the rules.
I've actually heard since COVID, I like know some people that work in the casino industry, and they said that these machines, right, the slot machines, there's a setting on there, and you can set it for a payback. So like,
it's a ratio.
It's a ratio. It's like for every dollar it collects, it pays back 97 cents.
Wait, you have casino machines, basically?
I do, yeah.
Slot machines. They're
really interesting, actually. The guy who invented those. So for the viewers, they're in Ontario. We live in Canada. We are not allowed to have any kind of gambling that happens outside of a casino. So a casino would be regulated by the.
That's what I was thinking.
By the OLG, Ontario Lottery, whatever.
Gaming Corporation?
Something like that. So you're not allowed to have anything that's gambling outside of there.
Right.
So these machines that magically popped up are created by a guy who actually used to be on, I think he was really high up in the lottery, in the Ontario lottery system. And then he was also a lawyer, I believe. And he just interpreted the law, and then he kind of found a loophole in the way it was written.
I wondered that.
And it's called Got Skill. I'm giving them a shout out right now.
Not sponsored by
But it's
Got
totally
Skill.
legit. I remember when they first came around, I saw them in other bars, and people would like be like, oh, those are owned by bikers, and like there would be all this.
Yeah.
Because they're illegal. But when they came to my bar and they sold it to me, they said it's actually legal. And what they did is they just put one little element of skill. It's exactly a slot machine that you'd see at a casino. Skill. And the only thing is, it's like there's like,
that slider
once you win, it's like a slider that goes back and forth, and then you like stop it in the middle, and it's like so easy to get it like just outside the middle. And if you get it just outside the middle, you get 100% of your winnings. But if you get it right in the middle, you get like 110. You get a little bit more of your winnings. So
so it becomes skill now, not luck.
Right, and it's just in the definition of the word.
That's so good.
It's a small little tick and just that slider bar, and they went right to the Supreme Court of Canada, I believe, because it was contested.
Yeah.
And they ruled like, you know what? The way this is skill.
Yeah.
How define skill. Right?
So now you can have that.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I can have them. And
it's like you don't really see that here. That's not a common thing at all.
No, it's not.
When I saw it there, I was like, how did you get that? That's cool.
It is kind of neat. I mean, they have a monopoly on it right now, because I think they have probably a patent on the technology. So usually when there's a patent on there, they, obviously whatever company comes up with it, they rake in the money for the first however long. And then once it becomes open, then a bunch of people, other people. So right now I make a little bit of money on it.
I was going to ask you, how do you?
So the way, basically how it works is like so if you're a customer, you walk into my bar, you put $20 in the bill acceptor, right?
Right.
So you put $20 in, it tells the point of sale machine at the end of the day, like say there was $20 all day put in this machine, it sends like a message to the people who own the machine and say, hey, we've collected $20.
Right.
So what they'll do is they go into my bank account and they take that money out. So like I have the physical cash, and then I have to put it back in. So then there's obviously going to be profits and there's going to be losses.
Yeah.
So on a weekly basis, it calculates, okay, what was the profit? What was the loss? So it takes their share out of my bank account, because they have like a direct deposit form. So if the profits were $100, and I think it's 50-50. I forget exactly what it is, but it's good for me because I don't provide anything.
Yeah.
They put the money in.
Host the machine, basically.
Host the machine. So if I make $100, then they take out $50 out of my account, but then I get all the cash in the machine. So by the time I put it in, then it replenishes the money that it's been taken out plus my profit. So they don't have to touch cash or nothing.
When the customer has like a card, right? They can carry around, it's preloaded and
exactly.
ready to go.
Yeah. They swipe their card, they keep it in their wallet. And surprisingly, there's a lot of people that play it. And like
They won.
well, some people win. There are winners. Like my employee plays all the time, but sometimes I'll go in there like, and they'll be like, in one night they'll be like, oh, these two guys are playing it, and they cleaned us out. Like they wanted all,
Right.
they wanted all this much money back. I'm like, oh my god, they win that much? But then I go the next day, open it up, and they put like hundreds of dollars in there. It's not like they put like $5 in there.
Yeah. They've been playing. They heated up that machine.
Yeah.
Got it
They're-
hot. all
Max
night.
bet, max bet.
That's the part of addiction right there.
Mhm.
That's scary too, because like people don't stop, and they'll waste their entire paychecks on these things and their houses, and it gets really bad, dude.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're in a place drinking, so you're feeding two addictions at once.
So here's the thing: if you,
And by the way, casinos do that too. They let you drink in them. So
They do.
You're feeding.
but if
two
you have the
addictions.
money and you're not an alcoholic and you're not hurting anybody and you're gambling
yeah.
within reason, is there
Everything.
any problem with it?
No, people can be addicted to water. I don't know. It's a stupid example, but like you'd be addicted to anything.
Right.
So I think it's the way you approach it, right? If you're constantly going, I don't go to the casino always, but when I do, I play it and that's it. I know my limits and I stop. But there's other people that can't do that. So it's not a bad thing. Casinos aren't a bad thing. You can go online right now and play the slots, the same ones that are in the casino on the computer.
Really?
Yeah. And it connects to your bank account and you,
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
no, don't do it. Cause it's like, I think it's rigged even more.
Yeah, I used to play poker a lot, and I've handled a deck of cards so many times.
It feels weird.
And it's like, I'm gonna try to explain this. Maybe it won't make sense, but even though it's technically random, right?
Right.
It should be random when you flip cards over. And if I go on a program and I play online,
It's a whole algorithm, dude.
it's an algorithm. So it's you're programming randomness, which is like, what do you call that when it's like the statement itself contradicts itself? You're programming randomness. If it's
Right.
random, you
And how
can't
you
program it.
yeah.
Right. But when I'm actually revealing the cards, like the hands that I get in poker, even though there's no way to really prove it, like I can't actually prove that it's not random.
Right.
I've played so many hands of real poker in real life that when I see these hands come up, I'm like, I know it's
weird,
not possible. You know what I mean? Like it's just the weirdest, like the straights you get or the flushes you get. Like this is not.
Because it's a computer. It's not natural. So
Exactly.
It's coming out
So
as
as
a
soon
computer
as it's
would do
not
it.
natural, then you have to assume that it's rigged. Even if it's not, you have to assume it is.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
do.
And like I said, that's where I felt like that roulette Colombia was digital, and it was somebody was in the back, right? Like, you know, he's gonna take that back, dude, because there's something going on. And every time I'm at the casino, I don't know if you guys do this before, but I do it. I'll be at the slot machine, then I'll look at the camera and I'll be like, "Come on." There's a guy in the back. He's like, "All right, machine 17.
Yeah, give him $20.
Here you go." Dude. And then all of a sudden you're like, "Big win!" I'm like, "All right, thank you, bro, thank you." It's not God I'm looking at; it's the guy in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently that's all regulated by one company, and the employees can't touch it. But I don't think that's true.
Oh, that's where I was going.
I don't think that's true.
I'm jumping around. When I was saying about the program, you know, when it collects 97 cents and pays, collects $1, pays back 97 and keeps, like in Ontario, there's a regulation. And in each province or each country or whatever, they have their own governance on it.
Yep.
And there's a maximum and a minimum, like obviously like the minimum, you could just pay it back 100%. But
Right.
So there's a maximum amount of money that you can legally take.
Right.
Right. But apparently since COVID, I heard at the casinos close to us, I won't say exactly which ones.
Yeah.
But apparently they've because there's been so much loss, they've just cranked the machines to like whatever the highest legal is.
Payout?
But like for them, not for
that. Okay.
So
Don't
like
go to the casino then.
don't go to the casino right now, in other words, because they're trying to make back
They're making
2
the
years
money
of
they
COVID.
lost.
Right.
Yeah, nobody's going.
Right.
All those machines are cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the guys, I don't want to get too much into the casino topic, but like I've seen guys on YouTube and they just spend like, it's like $500. No. Yeah. Big spend machines, $500 a spin. They're in special rooms.
What's the most you've done?
I think like 20,
Yeah, I did that
20,
too.
25. But these machines that I'm talking about, they're like in a back room and you need permission and like you have to sign something.
Yeah, the high limits, yeah. What I used
couldn't
to
do
always
that.
do is whatever budget I would take, if my budget was $200, I would gamble that because I didn't want to go home. If I was gambling 200, I'm either going home with zero or I'm going home with like $5,000.
Yeah.
So I would make money. I would go up, up, up. And when I would hit like $500, then I would go to those slot machines that it was like $50 per spin.
And try it out there.
And I would just go like 10 spins and it'd be like dun, 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 zero.
But at the
then
same
I just leave with
time,
nothing.
yeah, exactly.
That's how I am.
I'd watch this guy just destroy his winnings the entire day. But then I'm
It's
watching
sad.
other
I'm
ones
not
where it's
laughing at
like he's making a killer. Like, is it made up for YouTube? But they can't be. Just because he's a YouTuber, the casino's not going to be like.
So
let's make
he's
you
allowed
win.
to videotape himself at the casino?
Yeah, he does it. It's
People are doing everything, eh? That's a good idea.
Yeah, he's really into it, and it's always on my Facebook because I watched it.
And then
a
he's
bunch.
probably making money from YouTube because he's got like a
Right.
bunch of subscribers
Right.
who are funding his addiction.
And you'll have like 10 people join in, and it'll be like, let's put 10,000 on this machine, and it'll be like, oh, it's your turn, Kathy, and it'll be like, my name's Kathy, and then they'll be like, all right, you got 5 spins, and he'll do the spins for her. And then somebody else will come and, oh, my name's John, and and then, oh, he got $500, and then they add it, they pull it all up, and they spread it amongst.
So
themselves.
they're really there?
Yeah, they're really there.
Oh, okay.
That
I
was-
thought maybe like they were like joining the chat and he was like live streaming.
They
and
give
they're
him like 10 grand, and then he'll do the spinning and
Wow.
stuff. Yeah, and he'll put, of course.
What's the most you've ever won?
Mine in Colombia actually was like $400
Wow.
in Colombia.
Feels good, eh?
It does. I jumped up, but then I think about what that now. What was that now to me is like,
Yeah.
eh,
But it's still better to leave up. Obviously, it's better to leave up.
yeah,
But yeah, for some reason, I always considered it like when I'm gambling, I'm like I'm not obviously there to get rich. But if I lose, it's just I paid for the time. Just
Right.
like if I went to go-kart
that's the way I look
racing,
at it too. It's like, okay, I just got everything back from what I came with, and I just paid for a good time.
Yeah.
Literally.
And you drink,
And
I
you
drink
drink,
a couple
yeah.
beer, you know,
Beers.
even if you break even.
Yeah.
But usually when I break even, that means I broke even, including tips, including beer.
Yeah. Then you pay your night off. I used to think about it like that. Oh, look, I just paid for dinner with the casino money, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I just paid dinner with my business. I just got 5 orders while we're sitting here. Like, I think of it that way. But it's all addiction, dude. If you keep going to a casino, it eventually... I've heard, and this will be the last topic I'll cover on it, but I've heard that people have... the casino tweaks something in their body that can trigger heart attacks because you're constantly...
Sounds like you're just like pushing misinformation.
No. I read it online. It was, I don't know if it's real because you haven't read everything online, but it triggers some sort of receptor in your brain that raises, I think, dopamine, and that can give you a heart attack after too much of it. You know, just like me with ordering stuff on Amazon.
This is not good for the anxiety. Bringing us full circle.
No, and I'll think about like, hey, did I order something today? Is it coming? And then I'll look and there's nothing there, and I'll be like, I should get something. And then I'll browse and I'll be like sitting there and I'm like, 12-pack of batteries because I ran out of AA's, and then I'll wait for them.
No, you always need extra batteries.
I do, because my kid, right?
I'm the same way with Costco. I go up and down the aisles with no list, and I just like look. I'm like, do I need that?
With food, I'm the worst because I'll have so much crap in the cupboard that I don't eat after. Like, for example, I buy Caesar salad every single time. Pre-made Caesar salad, ready to go.
Where, Costco?
No, just the grocery store.
Oh, okay, because Costco pre-made Caesar salad, bomb.
So I get it. I get the croutons and all that, and I put it in my fridge. 5 days later, I had Caesar salad. I go, look, it's brown.
No.
Every time.
This is part of being an
Every
adult.
time.
This is my wife and I have a conversation about this all the time. It's part of being an adult. Every time that happens
Manage
to
your
us,
food, yeah.
Yeah, we go like, okay, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna rotate this stuff in the fridge? Because it doesn't feel so bad just throwing that in the garbage.
Man, the worst feeling, just watching you just throw out perfectly good. Like, I bought cookies, right? But there's too many cookies. And they're the fresh ones, you know, that they make and they put in a little container, and you're like, to open it, you need like the power of God. But
Yeah.
you get it and it's all fresh, and then you forget, or you eat 3 of them and then you have 42 left, for example.
I have chickens, so at least I bring my shit out to the chickens, so I feel a little
you
bit
feel
better because then they eat
I have
it and then I
Coco,
eat their egg.
And if he eats a cookie, he's going to die.
Right.
So I just got to go to the garbage. And it's so wasteful.
It is.
It's so wasteful.
So part of getting older is like figuring out how am I going to waste less food, you know?
And you can't return that stuff. It
No.
just goes in the garbage, man.
No.
And that's the other thing. If you return too much on Amazon, you get booted. Like you get.
You mean they'll close your account?
Yeah.
Or? Really?
They'll say, "Hey, you're doing too much returns. Take it easy." And then after that, if you do some more, we close your account. That's it.
I have a friend that's a manager at Costco, and they're really good with returns there too.
Yeah,
And
I haven't returned anything there.
It's man, I had a tube. I had a tube for my boat. Just to give, I mean, everybody has a Costco story where they just like return something ridiculous. Like I heard
of with Walmart.
Walmart is bad. I've had bad experience.
Really?
They actually subcontracted an insurance kind of company. So the last time I tried to return something at Walmart, they like made me call a 1-800 number, and like
They used to just take things without receipts.
they used to, but they don't anymore. But Costco,
It's like, oh, I got
does.
a T-shirt. And I don't know if I bought it here. Yeah, we'll give you credit. $7.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they might still, but that last time I've been boycotting Walmart for, I literally haven't stepped foot in a Walmart for probably 4 years, maybe more.
For what? It's probably a long story. I get it.
But just because the story I just told you, I had the receipt. It was in its original box. It was a drone. Remember when drones first started coming out, before DJI and stuff?
Yeah.
It was like $100. It was like it was like a toy.
Yeah, it's a
but
toy
it
drone.
like didn't even work when I took it out of the box. I put it back in the box, taped it up, original receipt, and they like made me call this insurance company. And anyway, I was like, no,
keep it, dude.
Yeah. Anyway, I walked away.
$100 up your butt.
Exactly. But Costco is unreal. I had a tube for a boat. It was totally fine, brand new. I was driving down the road and it blew off my boat, and then the rope tied around the axle of the trailer and it sucked the tube underneath, and it ripped like it was like Kevlar, you know, like the material of your maybe not Kevlar, but whatever that is, like your seatbelt material. Like it was like that strong material around the tube. It ripped that open. It was like this big ripped thing.
And you try to return that?
And I was like,
should you?
Because one of my customers,
is it moral?
That's a good question. But one of my customers is a manager there, and he's like, "Oh, you don't return stuff a lot at all. Just go. They'll take it." I was like, "Really?" Brought it in a shopping cart, and I was like, "Hey, I have this, and like there's a hole in it." And then she's like, "Okay," and I'm like,
"Should have said I don't know how it happened."
No, but I told her, I was too honest. I'm like, "Listen, it wasn't a defective thing. I literally I did it."
Yeah.
And she was like, "No problem." Like, and she took it back. So I've heard of stories
full
where
refund.
somebody full refund.
Wow.
They had a light that they bought at Costco, and they had it like on their roof, like a light like this, like a ceiling titty.
Yeah.
Is that my phone?
Yeah, it's your phone.
And they like had it up there for like 3 years, and then it's like not in style anymore, and then they like take it down and they like bring it back.
They bring it back.
And they'll return it. He was telling me there was a girl.
Man, that's brutal.
I guess on electronics it's a little bit more strict. Like you can have your laptop for 3 months. They bought one laptop, and then at like 2 months and 25 days, they kept returning it and getting a new one. And it was like 2 years later.
Yeah.
And then eventually they had to call a manager over, and they're like, "Okay, listen, like
this is too much now."
Yeah. Like we know what you're doing. This is your last computer. So they will, it kind of like what you're saying, like if people take advantage, but if you don't take advantage, like I don't, when I brought my tube back, no problem.
So it's probably save the special returns when you really need it. Like
exactly,
if you really messed up.
And
somehow.
it's just like be normal.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your tube blows off, and like if you don't abuse this privilege, then like when your tube blows off and it rips, then you're gonna get a new one. But like if every time you buy a whatever and you bring it in and you say like, oh, or you eat half of a box of strawberries.
Yeah, I don't
and then
understand.
You're like, oh, the strawberries were like, they didn't taste good. Can I have my money back?
Some people are just really retarded.
I've had people at the bar, they eat their whole meal.
It wasn't good.
And they're like, oh, yeah.
Too salty.
Can I have my money back? And you're like, okay, if you would have taken a bite and give it back, sure.
You should be like, one sec. Open your mouth. I'm just going to go ahead and initiate your gag reflex.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take it back.
Frontal forward and then put it on the plate.
Yeah, I never understood that.
No, I didn't get it either. You probably get that with beer and stuff, right?
Oh, man. I had a guy.
He's just shit-faced.
I saw this guy. I wish I could say his name right now because F him. He asked me, this is my cats are setting up my motion detector.
That's okay. You can silence it, man.
So,
no big deal. Your cats.
Listen to this thing. What the hell?
That happens with mine, but usually at specific hours of the night because I don't care about motion during the day.
Motion snooze. So, oh my God. Oh,
that's what we had.
and my phone's updating too. That's why.
Oh, it's perfect.
So anyway, this guy, he came to me. He was an Italian guy. You know, he's like kind of smooth. He's like, hey, listen, Jay. I need to talk to you over here. Come over here.
You knew it was trouble, right?
So he like pulls me in the back room. He's like, hey, listen, man. I'm just between jobs right now. I'm a little bit hard up for money. So can you front me some money? You know, you're like, I'm good for it. I'm in here all the time. You know, just give me a little tab, right? Yeah, no problem. He goes, okay. He like walks in the front. He goes, hey, yo, everybody, drinks on me. Yo, put it on my tab. So
seriously?
Swear to God, man. So this guy racks up a tab.
Wow, you let it? I would have been like, no.
Well,
come back to the back here.
I'm like a pushover, right?
Yeah, dude. Jeez.
So
grenade.
Clink. So he does that, right? And then time goes by, week goes by, whatever. Doesn't pay his tab, which, you know, it's not new. This guy is maybe doing a little bit of fun stuff, a little bit too much. Anyway, he racks up a tab. He eats his burgers and pizzas and beers and buying rounds for the bar and whatever. And then finally it was getting to a point where I'm not fronting you anymore. So you're going to need to pay. So comes in, print his tab off. His tab is like this long. I like put it on the bar. I'm like, hey man, it'd be really nice if you squared up. It's been like 2 months. You know, you asked me like for 2 days. It's been
you
2
printed
months.
out what randomly? You just
like the next time he was in. Yeah, I was like, here. Like I folded it up, put like slide it down.
Worst.
Yeah, you're doing a favor now. You're in the awkward position where you got. So he goes, he's like looking around. He's like, you have a pen? I'm like, yeah. So I like give him a pen, right? He's got like cheater glasses. So he puts his little cheater glasses on there, and I see him like looking at this thing, and he's circling stuff, and he's putting asterisks around here, and he's underlining this, and I'm just like, I'm going to Dana like, what is this guy doing? It's like, Jay, come over here.
Again.
Yeah, like same as he did before, right? And he's like, he starts going through item by item. He's like, see this pizza here?
Weird.
That I got, 7-8 weeks ago? It was cold when it came out.
Wow.
And he's like, see this hamburger here? Yeah, it wasn't my favorite hamburger.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I'm like, bro, you had to address that at the time.
The time it happens, yeah.
Plus, I've been fronting you this tab, and you have no interest on this tab. I've been floating all the money. Anyway.
People are unreal, dude.
And this guy is going through life like that. And I actually, I saw him recently.
Did he pay you back? Like, long story short?
No, he was one of the guys who I
disappeared.
In that day, he actually, it was comical. It was scary at the time because he wanted to fight me, but he always wears a fanny pack. And when I said, hey man, like, no, I just said no. And like, people are surprised because like, I am really easygoing, but I can, when it comes to no,
yeah,
it's
I've
like,
seen you do it.
No, right? No. And he just looked at me and he said, F you, you fag. And then he clipped off his fanny pack, which I thought was super ironic that he was calling me a fag and he was wearing a fanny pack. And then he threw his fanny pack at me. And then he like went to the door and then he like ran back and like grabbed his fanny pack and then he ran away. And to this day, there's only been a few people that have actually stiffed me on a tab and never paid. And he was one of them. And I saw him this was 4 years ago. And I just saw him like 4 months ago around Christmas time or before Christmas. And he was on the phone and he's just, whatever. As soon as I saw him, I had a feeling, and actually bring it full circle. The time before that I saw him, he was at the casino too, and he was like, just like high rolling gambling. It's just that type
of personality, dude.
I know, but they go through life like that. They go through life like that, and somebody needs to put them in their place, but it's not going to be me.
Dude, that's crazy, man. I didn't think you'd have that kind of experience with people like not paying. Like I've felt bad off of one beer. Mm-hmm. Like imagine a whole tab like that.
I think it's always tied to addiction. I think if you're in your clear mind, it's going to be pretty rare.
Yeah.
But if you're really deep and you owe people, like you owe drug dealers money or you owe, your family money and you've been borrowing and it becomes, there's so much piled on you that like just going to a bar and just like leaving on a tab is just.
It's a normal thing. Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy. I just came from a kegger before I came here and he's like totally changed his life around. And he's like, oh man, like I said, oh, you're looking really good. And he said, yeah, like he went to rehab 3 times and he's like totally sober and he looks totally different. He behaves totally different than what I remember him when he used to come to the bar. So it's kind of cool to see that people transformation change, and the drugs and alcohol change you so much.
Yeah. It's very true. And it changes your personality and to do things that are actually of addicts.
I asked him, I said, when you were in that time, were you feeling guilty? Like, because he was talking about just doing shady stuff or, being dishonest or stealing. And he said, absolutely. And pretty much everybody I've talked to said that when they're in that addiction, they
think too much. Well, they don't think at all.
In the back of their head, they're feeling guilty.
Yeah.
But they just do more drugs or more booze to
cover
suppress that.
We know somebody like that.
We do. It's
going to be another episode for sure for all that information because it's really good to cover.
Yeah, we can't reveal everything at once.
No, I think episode 6 is 100% perfect.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Dude, but it's good. It's good that you came today. We're going to keep talking about these things because I think it's important to cover that. Not only just anxiety, but things to do with addiction. I think is a key topic, and I'm sure a lot of viewers relate in some way, shape, or form, or listeners, I should say, as well. But yeah, we'll do that definitely on the next episode.
Sure. I guess our theme was anxiety and addiction.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you guys can tune in. You kind of reveal that little extra side, and you might have good stories too, with like owning a bar, right? So
I got so many stories. I got some cool clips too we can show one day.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get the clips going so you guys can see that as well. Like for people that watch on the video. Make sure you like and subscribe because it does make this channel grow. And I want to keep providing these stories to you. And again, this is like a hobby to us, really. It's not like, we're not making money off of it or whatever. So it's fun to share and have an audience. So it'd be great if you guys tune in. Like I said, it's very hard to pinpoint what we talk about, but that's what makes it good. I think this just...
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's just us chit-chatting, like what we would normally do, just sit down and talk.
Yeah. But we'll cover it on the next episode, what we need to talk about in terms of the addiction. But it was really good to see you guys. We're going to tune out.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me again, buddy.
Man.
Appreciate it.
As usual, dude. Take care. You guys have a wicked-ass weekend.
We'll see you next time on the Just Talk to Me Bro podcast.